You're watching City Channel 4, your window to our community.
Tonight, we honor more than 40 property owners, builders, painters, masons, roofers, suppliers, contractors, designers, and community and government groups. You all deserve our huge thanks. What you've done makes for a vibrant and sustainable and meaningful community. For some of you, this maybe was the first time you took on a project like this. And for some others of you, it may be one in a series of projects you've done in historically correct ways to enhance your home and neighborhood. And for others, it's how you earn your living. Regardless, each project that is represented tonight on your part speaks to considerable amounts of labors, skills, research, funds, experimentation, inspiration, indecision, tenacity, agony, and we hope in the end, ecstasy and pride. And you all should feel great pride because we take pride in them as being part of this town. Many of tonight's projects are among the 1,500 properties that are in our historic and conservation districts. Protecting and preserving our historic structures and our neighborhoods is a mandate of our commission, and I promise you these numbers will continue to grow as they have every year. You can stay abreast of what the commission is doing via our new Facebook presence created by Jessica Bristow. Jessica is the city's new historic preservationist. Well, not so new. She came in March, and she hit the ground running, and she has not stopped since. She brings a wealth of skills to this job, and we are very fortunate to have her. Jessica keeps our new Facebook page stocked with news of local projects and events, stories from other Iowa towns that are fighting to save their old neighborhoods, and the information and ideas we all need to take care of our own properties. So look us up. The name is easy, Iowa City Historic Preservation on Facebook. In addition to thanking Jessica for that work, all her work, and especially the work tonight, I'd like to thank also Bob Miklo, Senior Planner for Iowa City, whose experience continues to benefit us all. Martina Wolf, an intern for the city, and our sponsors, Iowa City Window and Door, and Midwest One Bank. And now I'd like to turn the program over to Alicia Trimble, the Executive Director of Friends of Historic Preservation. Thank you.
Here we go. Good evening. I'm Alicia Trimble. I'm the Executive Director of Friends of Historic Preservation, and it's a pleasure to do this program every year with the Iowa City Historic Preservation Commission. This once again has been an extraordinarily busy year for Friends of Historic Preservation. In the last year, Friends has continued our educational outreach. We again hosted our educational workshops as well as our second annual Craft Your Environment craft fair, where all vendors have to have crafts at the craft fair made of recycled materials. We also hosted our annual Parade of Historic Homes in the Lucas Farm neighborhood. This has been a busy year at the Salvage Barn as well. For 23 years, Friends of Historic Preservation has operated the Salvage Barn, an architectural salvage warehouse which specializes in architectural material that is 50 years old or older. The Salvage Barn not only allows owners of older homes to find appropriate materials for the repair and restoration of their homes, but it also saves priceless material from the landfill. Year-round, our volunteers and partners in the community remove architectural material and other items from homes and businesses under demolition and bring it to the Salvage Barn where nails are removed, items are cleaned, sorted, priced, and placed on the floor for resale. This year, the Salvage Barn completed 7 salvages, and as well as the donations the public has made to the Salvage Barn, we saved tons of valuable material from the Iowa City landfill. The Salvage Barn also houses Friends of Historic Preservation's Tool Lending Library, the only tool lending library in Iowa City. And thanks to a grant from the Johnson County Foundation we recently received, the tool library will be more than doubling in size in the next few months. One of our biggest achievements in 2015 was the publication of Finials, A View of Downtown by Mary Beth Sloniger, with essays from 18 additional authors. Mary Beth was gracious enough to write the book and donate all the proceeds to Friends of Historic Preservation, making no income for the months of her hard work and dedication she spent while writing the book and researching the book. She spent several months just researching. Finials details the downtown streets of Iowa City from their inception to urban renewal. The book has been a huge success, and only a couple hundred copies remain for sale. Finials can be purchased at a number of downtown retailers that have partnered with us to sell this book, as well as at our website, ic-fhp.org. In the next year, Friends of Historic Preservation will continue its educational event series with workshops. On January 30th, Mike Haverkamp will again be presenting his workshop. This is his 4th year, installing a salvaged hardwood floor. The 3rd annual Craft Your Environment Craft Fair will be held on Saturday, April 23rd. And this year's Parade of Historic Homes will take place on Sunday, May 29th. This year, Friends of Historic Preservation is also looking to new opportunities. This year, we hope to start flipping dilapidated rentals back into single-family homes, researching moving homes that would otherwise be demolished, and expanding the salvage barn into other communities in Southeast Iowa. Thank you and congratulations to all the winners. Our next speaker is Kate Corcoran, a member of the Iowa City Historic Preservation Commission.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming tonight. After we present the individual properties that are being recognized, we would ask that each owner, as well as any consultants, architects, contractors, carpenters, designers, painters, masons, material suppliers, and others who are going to receive the award, please come to the table to my left at the front of the room to receive their awards. Presenting the awards will be Jessica Briscoe, who Jenny earlier introduced to you, who's our historic preservation specialist for the city. And with her is Gosha Clore, who's a member with me of the Iowa City Historic Preservation Commission. And while I'm at it, I see a number of commissioners in the audience, and I did want to recognize them: Pam Michaud, Frank Wagner, and Esther Baker. Esther was also on the selection committee for the awards tonight, and they all serve on the Iowa City Historic Preservation Commission, as well as Tom Baldridge, who is active in Friends of Historic Preservation and is a former commissioner. So let's get down to business. Our first category is paint and external finishes. Our first award winner in the Residential Paint and Exterior Finishes Award goes to 2 Knollwood Lane. This home is representative of mid-century modern homes that have reached the 50-year milestone, making them eligible for historic status. The owners of this home are Amy Margolis and Gary Rick. They undertook the exterior painting of their home in 2 installments. The first in the fall of 2014 in preparation for their wedding, which was held at the home last January. They hired John Heck to paint the trim, which was in obvious disrepair. Last fall, he painted the remainder of the exterior. Amy and Rick chose a palette consistent with the mid-century modern lines particular to the home, with deeper and more vibrant values than the previous colors. One challenge was to choose colors harmonious with the factory-painted trim and garage door. The blue-green they selected, which changes dramatically with the light, was inspired by a vase that Gary bought for their first anniversary. The whole palette, they say, is in fact represented in that vase. Painting contractor John Heck notes that, quote, Amy has a good eye for color and made excellent choices. He added, I was struck by how the new color scheme highlighted the horizontal architecture of the home. These colors, as you can see, are uniquely appropriate for this modern style. Congratulations to Amy Margolis and Gary Rick, and to John Heck. Are they here tonight? Yes. Yes, then please come up and accept your awards. And I did want to note to you that Although we are recognizing many of these property owners tonight, we're looking at the exterior work that was done. Many of these owners also took on extensive and challenging projects on the interior of their homes. But all of tonight's awards are just for exterior work. Our next award winner in this category is 200 Fersen Avenue. This home is owned by Gene Hogan and was built in 1929 in the then new Manville Heights neighborhood. As McCarran Painting began to scrape and prep Gene's house for a new paint job, they discovered areas of rotted wood. Duffy Brothers Construction then went on to replace windowsills, soffit, and fascia molding as needed. They also constructed 2 new shutters, perfectly matching the existing shutters. Set against the soft green body color, the crisp white trim color highlights the interesting detail around the front door and the windows. Congratulations to owner Gene Hogan, Kathleen Murphy and Bridget McCarran of McCarran Painting, and Greg and Ken Duffy of Duffy Brothers Construction. Please come up. Our next winner is the home at 325 North Gilbert Street. This turn-of-the-century home is owned by Dragonfly Properties II. As they undertook exterior work last year, they endeavored to maintain the look and integrity of the house. This light trim color draws attention to the unique trim, especially the capitals on the porch pillars and the porch railing. Details like these, which have survived all these years, make this classic 4-square home very special indeed. Besides the application of new paint, the back porch was re-roofed, and additional work on the house and landscaping are planned. Congratulations to Dragonfly Properties II and painter Dwayne Fijo. Next is 620 Oakland Avenue. This bungalow, owned by Nona France, was built in 1926. The clipped gables add to the home's character, as do the paired windows and brackets, typical of its style. Note how the stone pillar to the right of the porch steps plays off the color scheme of the home. In the backyard, Nona used the same colors on the garage and a 1921 cottage. Congratulations to Nona France and Lee Gardner of Primetime Painting. (812) South Dodge Street. Choosing a paint scheme is no easy matter. Just ask Brooke Brock and Jennifer Wolf, owners of the home at 812 South Dodge Street. Forgive me, I mispronounced that name. It's Bruce Bach. They worked hard with color consultant Eleanor Smith to find a combination that would honor the integrity, age, and architectural style of their circa 1925 home. They also wanted to choose colors that would complement the other well-maintained homes in the neighborhood. But first, as always, repairs were needed, including replacing warped and split cedar lap siding. Then came the painting. We did all the work ourselves, Bruce notes with pride. Congratulations to Bruce Bach and Jennifer Wolf, and to color consultant Eleanor Smith. and Karen Anzelk own this American Foursquare at 1104 Muscatine Avenue, which was built in 1910. Ben tackled the repairs and painting all on his own. And when it came to the many windows, he honored the preservation maxim, repair rather than replace. Quote, "I stripped and reglazed and repainted all the windows," he said, "and refurbished and reclaimed the majority of the old storm windows by replacing broken or damaged parts, reinstalling weather stripping, glass, and screen as necessary." He chose a gray tone for the body and a bright white trim. Sashes and storm windows were painted black, as was the tradition. So was the front door. Congratulations to owners Ben and Karen Anzelk. (1220) Sheridan Avenue. Set in a shady yard, this home at 1220 Sheridan Avenue is owned by Charles Brenner. It's in the Longfellow Historic District and was built about 1900. Wayne Nuschel and Wesley McNabb from Classical Painting removed all of the lead paint last winter and then in the spring painted the gambrel-roofed home. Most house painting projects require attention to the windows. Here, the goal was to preserve the original windows, improve their performance, and remove lead paint. Charles says, "Working with Liz Finnegan and her crew at Iowa City Window and Door, we were able to reglaze and improve the function of all existing windows and replace the aluminum storm windows." Charles met his objective to obtain a beautiful and historically suitable exterior linking to an inviting yard. Congratulations to Charles Brenner, Liz Finnegan of Iowa City Window and Door, and Wayne Nuschel and Wesley McNabb of Classical Painting. All right, now we'll move to my second category, residential rehabilitation. And our first winner is the home at 429 Ronald Street. Owners Jay and Casey Simon could find no photos of the original front porch of their home at 429 Ronalds in the Goosetown Horseman Conservation District. But there surely was one, and it probably was quite similar to what they ended up building. A very simple porch, almost the full width of the house, with no railings and modest trim. They used treated wood for the porch columns, but wrapped them with cedar for a more finished and substantial look. They completed all of the work themselves. Quote, "We had planned to use a standard pre-made diagonal lattice panel at the bottom," they said. "But because our porch is so low to the ground, we custom-made panels with narrow vertical slats. We now think it's one of the best features of our new porch." Congratulations to Jay and Casey Simon. This home at 604 Ronald Street is owned by Cynthia Fairchild. It has a welcoming front facade and a gracious porch. But the last few steps had become quite a challenge to scale. The 4 cement steps leading directly to the front porch were crumbling, and the side walls of the steps were deteriorating as well. Dwayne Brenneman poured new steps and worked hard to find a rough-textured concrete block that would match the existing materials. The cement block toppers on the side were reused. Located in the Brown Street Historic District, Cynthia's home was prepped and painted by Classical Painting. The owner extends kudos to Wayne Nugel for his patience during the color selection process. Congratulations to owner Cynthia Fairchild, contractor Dwayne Brenneman, and Wayne Nugel and Wesley McNabb of Classical Painting. Situated along the east side of the Iowa River, south of the Park Road Bridge, 729 North Dubuque Street is home to members of the University of Iowa's Phi Delta Theta fraternity, Iowa Beta chapter. The history of the Phi Delta House is very important to its members and its thousands of alumni. So when its wood shake shingle roof from the 1970s started to leak and host moss and mold, the fraternity's board looked to the house's past before selecting new material. They unearthed a number of photos of the house's exterior, and all of them featured a roof with wood shakes. Thus, although asphalt shingles would have cost a lot less, the board of directors of the Housing Corporation that owns the house chose wood shake shingles again because, as they said, quote, "It's important that any Phi Delt come back to the house and say the house looks just like it did when he lived there. An asphalt shingle roof would not have met this standard," quote. Here's a picture that gives you a lot of the detail here. Hahn Roofing took on this very complex roofing project whose installation involved dealing with numerous angles, gables, and steep pitches. These new wood shake shingles are supposed to last for a good 40 years. We want to congratulate the House Corporation Association of Iowa Beta Chapter of Phi Delta Theta Fraternity and Hahn Roofing. And tonight with us are three members of the Phi Delta Theta Fraternity. Their president, Danny Berg, a sophomore from Western Springs, Illinois. Their vice president, Michael Van Antwerp from Lake Forest, Illinois, and Nick Kao from Palo Alto, California, their scholarship chairman. Owned by Ben Anderson, this home at 828 Dearborn Street was built around 1925, following development of the electric streetcar line in 1910 and Longfellow School in 1917. Located in the Dearborn Street Conservation District, it's a fine example of the classic American four square, except for a rear addition in the back built in the 1960s. Owner Ben Anderson's goal was to make that addition blend in with the original house. In the 1960s, when it had been put up, a kind of plywood siding called T111 was all the rage, but looked quite out of place on this classic four-square home. Ben removed that vertical siding and replaced it with horizontal clapboards matching the original home. Windows in the addition were moved into arrangements more typical of a four-square home. This also allowed Ben to remodel the interior space, a kitchen and bathroom, for more functionality. He also replaced deteriorated gutters and downspouts with appropriate choices, and he painted the entire house. The project shows how a non-appropriate appendage, like a rear addition, can indeed be turned into a sympathetic addition that maintains the continuity of design. Congratulations to Ben Anderson of Anderson Construction. Here we have another Greek house that's a winner, 932 East College Street. This home at 932 East College Street was originally built as the Delta Gamma sorority house around 1930. It's now owned by Clark Smith and the College Hill Cooperative. It's located in the College Hill Conservation District. This massive Tudor-style structure anchors the northwest corner of East College and Summit Streets. This project is another example of how to re-roof a structure that originally had wood shake shingles. In this case, the owner chose to replace the leaking roof with a metal material that approximates the look of wood shake shingles. The metal roofing was not laid directly onto the existing roof, but rather a separate structure was built a few inches above it, thus providing an airspace between the old and new roofs. This can prevent condensation, a problem common in older homes. The small triangular area on the sides of the dormers had been covered with asphalt shingles. These were removed and replaced with cement board to simulate stucco. Cement board trim was also put on the edges of the dormers, a nod to Tudor-style timbers. This project and the earlier one I described at the Phi Delta Theta Fraternity House at 729 North Dubuque Street reflect an important aspect of our preservation plan, the promotion of the rehabilitation of the Greek community properties and a sense of awareness and stewardship for these historic properties. Congratulations to Clark Smith of the College Hill Cooperative and to Jim Murphy of Metal Monsters Roofing. And now I'd like to introduce one of my colleagues from the Iowa City Historic Preservation Commission, Thomas Agron, who will present the awards in the last three categories.
Thank you, Kate. Let me get my bearings here. So the first property we have is 604 Grant Street. And Heidi Anderson and her husband, Hagen, wanted a detached two-car garage with a second-floor loft for their home at 604 Grant Street. They began with frequent walks around the neighborhood, the Longfellow Historic District, for ideas of what kind of garage would fit in with the character of their neighborhood. Of course, they also wanted the garage style to complement their house, a simple example of the colonial revival style, probably built between 1925 and 1930. Their final plan included windows, roof pitch, and trim similar to those on their house, as you can see here. Following historic guidelines, the driveway is one lane that widens in front of the garage doors. The resulting garage fits well within the neighborhood. Congratulations to Heidi Anderson. Our next winner is 704 Ronald Street, which I drive past on a frequent basis, so it's nice to give this award. Wendy Schultz and her brother-in-law, Stephen Boda, set out together to design a one-story addition to the back of 704 Ronald's. This house was a winner for their paint job last year, I believe. And they're located in the Brown Street Historic District. They wanted it to be appropriate to the size and aesthetics of the turn-of-the-century house, but still distinguishable from it, as if the addition had been built just a decade later. They chose material and design elements to reflect this objective, trim that matches the original, so cedar siding as the best available match to the original redwood, wood-clad double-hung windows, and even extra tall 7.5-foot doors. The new addition replaces a smaller one, has a better arrangement of the windows, and a more appropriate roof line. Congratulations to homeowners Richard Finlay and Wendy Schultz, consultant Stephen Boda, and contractors Art Chapman and Lyle Deeds. (725) South Summit Street. Sean and Kelly Meany, along with their now 12-year-old daughter Zoe, purchased the home at 725 South Summit Street in 2005. A prior owner had completed extensive work to return the 1896 house from a multi-tenant dwelling to a close approximation of its original state. The Meanies appreciate their wonderful neighbors, the home's proximity to Longfellow School, and the opportunity to make modest upgrades and improvements to a historic property. A singular downside, however, has been a lack of casual living space on the lower floor and poor access to the rear of the house and basement laundry area, which you can see the access to here, reachable only through an outside storm cellar. They worked with Russ Garrett to create a sunroom and second floor deck. New CMU stucco-coated foundation matches the original, as do the proportion and profile of the new windows. Now you can see what I'm talking about. A transom over the door was included as well. This practical, well-lit addition is seamlessly accessible to the outdoors. It's integrated with the historical elements and lines of the property and modern in accessibility and functionality. The final painting of the railing awaits warmer weather, as do we all. So, congratulations to Sean and Kelly Meany and to Russ Garrett of Garrett Construction. (1244) East College Street is our next winner. Bungalows may not have a lot of room, but what they lack in space, they make up for in charm, and this house is a great example of that. Dormers on lots of these homes being a key element there. Richard Johnson and Megan Knight used the design of the original dormer on the front of the home, which you can see here, when they added a new dormer on the back of the home. And even when we were giving these awards, there was lots of confusion about which was the front and the back. So this is the front of the house, and the next one is the back, which really shows how great the job they did was. The original dormer has an interesting pattern of clapboards, thin, wide, and the pattern was repeated on the back dormer. They carefully replicated all the design elements, including exposed rafters, roof pitch, brackets, and the divided light windows. Adding dormers are a good way to increase the size of your house. This one is big enough to allow for a new bathroom. Congratulations to Richard Johnson and Megan Knight, and to Russ Garrett of Garrett Construction. Our next category is commercial rehabilitation. We have a number of properties this year, which is exciting. Our first one is at 112 East Washington Street, which was built around 1900 in a simplified classical revival style that's found in a handful of downtown buildings constructed prior to World War I. It originally housed Sunnier & Son, a shop that sold pianos, organs, sewing machines, diamonds, and jewelry. Javier Corso's fruit store was located here from the 1930s into the 50s. Mr. Corso lived in the apartment above the shop. Lawrence Brothers boot shop was located here from the 1950s into the 1980s, and the building most recently housed Whitey's Ice Cream. Mark Ginsburg acquired the property in 2014. He participated in the city's facade improvement program to help finance repairs, and with the assistance of Newman Monson Architects and TD Builders, Mark completed a thorough rehabilitation, reinforcing the structure, including modifications to make it more usable while preserving the historic character. Historic materials such as wood floors and brick and stone walls were maintained when possible. And as some of you may have read, there were some articles about this in the paper, a fresco depicting Washington Street in the 1950s was discovered under one wall covering. Even though it was damaged, the owner chose to leave it exposed. A living space was added to the top floor, which you can't tell because the setback from the street, a living space is added to the top floor, but set back from the street so that it does not detract from the historic facade. And this has been done on a number of other properties downtown, which helps keep the size and massing of the buildings in line with each other. Storefronts evolve as architectural fashions change. The project at 112 East Washington Street is an excellent example of a contemporary first-floor storefront in a historic facade with an added penthouse sensitive to the street-level view. I'm missing all my, there we go. Congratulations to Mark Ginsburg, Nathan Griffith, and of Newman Monson Architects, and to Darren Spendler and Tim Hanna of TD Builders. Our next downtown property is 125 East College Street. The historic College Block building was built in 1878 and is the earliest known commercial building to be designed by an Iowa City architect. That architect, Chauncey Lovelace, was a partner in the firm Finkbein and Lovelace and owned the property prior to the Civil War. The construction of the building was well documented in contemporary newspaper accounts. The property has housed a variety of businesses over the years, including grocers and pharmacists, insurance businesses, tobacco shops, hardware stores, and a pool hall. In the late 1970s, it was saved from urban renewal demolition, listed on the National Register, and then became the locally well-known restaurant Bushnell's Turtle. In 2000, the College Block building became Martini's Restaurant. Caring for our National Register listed properties is one of the most important things we can do as a community in the effort to preserve our cultural heritage. Martini's Properties also participated in the city's facade improvement program to help finance these repairs. Contractor Pat Barton repaired and painted the elaborate pressed metal cornice and window ornamentation. Existing wood doors and trim were repaired and painted. On the south rear facade, vines were removed, masonry was repaired. This historic facade has been repaired and maintained in accordance with its importance to Iowa City history. Congratulations to Martini's Properties and Pat Barton. And my last category is institutional rehabilitation, and we have kind of an interesting property for this last one. This is the dairy barn at the Johnson County Poor Farm and Asylum Historic District. The Johnson County Poor Farm and Asylum Historic District, listed on the National Register of Historic Places in September of 2014, allows visitors to closely examine how our local community used its plentiful agricultural resources to provide for the poor and mentally ill from the 1850s into the 1970s, and perhaps into the new millennium. I think there's some work on that too. So, based on general recommendations provided by architect Doug Steinmetz, in 2015, Johnson County and contractor Quentin Pittson completed a number of repairs and preservation work to the farm's 1912 gambrel roof dairy barn, using reclaimed or recycled materials wherever possible. The current structure still includes the original milking stanchions and water delivery system that were considered state-of-the-art for the time period. This photo shows just a little bit of the damage, which was prevalent throughout the building. So, the county first had decades-old pest-ridden hay removed from the hay loft, a job I was pleased to not be part of. The loft was cleaned, and Quentin Pittson patched all the openings to prevent vermin damage, then reconstructed and sealed the hayloft floor. A south side awning was rebuilt with reclaimed wood battens, and doors were repaired, including the door leading to the original concrete silo. And also the foundation sills were rebuilt, which is no small job. Especially noteworthy, Pittson rebuilt the barn's windows with reclaimed cypress from his own supply of old-growth wood, which is characterized by its tight grain and density. Pittson also repaired the barn's northwest corner and wall, in which at some point a peculiar partial door had been installed. The contractor even discovered a door that had been covered up and returned to its original appearance and function. Congratulations to the Johnson County Board of Supervisors and contractor Quentin Pittson. And that's it. I want to thank all of you so much for coming and extend another congratulations to all the owners and contractors for their hard work and dedication preserving the historic character of our city. If you were inspired tonight, I think that you are in the right place to meet a quality contractor, so you might consider that. And thanks again for coming. We'll see you next year when undoubtedly there will be a lot more properties where people have put a lot of work into them. So thank you very much.
watching City Channel 4. On TV, online, on demand, on Facebook, and now on the go on your mobile device.